Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of ShadowZeal Talks. This is the series that I hopefully will be carrying on where I talk. Mostly about games and the future of games and stuff. And I'm in my living room at the moment, which is why I'm recording this type of video, which is my sound might sound a bit different or something like that. I apologize if it does. But I'm painting my room at the moment. And my room's covered with paint, so I can't get in there because my bed is in the way of my desk, which means I can't get to my computer, which is really annoying because it means I can't record actual games. I'm just going to have to record this and sort of throw it over a video, so I just have to record this quickly. So I'm just going to make a short video, and this episode is going to be about the future of gaming, a huge topic that I'm going to hopefully be covering in a few minutes because I don't have long to talk about this. And I'll probably just throw this over some Minecraft or something like I did before. But basically, I'm going to be talking about what I think the future of gaming holds, what I think are the games that are coming out this year that will hopefully be good, and stuff like that. So first I want to talk about why I'm making this video. Well, in my opinion, 2014 was by far the worst year in my lifetime for gaming. And the reason I say in my lifetime is because there was a period where gaming almost died completely before I was born. It was because of the release of a game called E.T. during the Super Mario sort of era, I think, that was so bad that it almost killed everything. It almost killed absolutely everything. I can't remember what game console it actually killed off. It might be the NES. But it killed off something completely, like a whole console dead because of one game. And that was the worst thing that's ever happened in gaming ever, because people thought that that was it, gaming is completely dead. Luckily it wasn't, and luckily it's still going now, but for how long? Because 2014, in my opinion, was horrific. It was terrible. And the reason I say that is because it was filled with such overhyped games, and I mean overhyped because there were adverts everywhere claiming that Destiny was the World of Warcraft killer and that Watch Dogs was the GTA killer and stuff like that, and it was just like, no, it's not at all. Watch Dogs was one of the worst games I've ever seen. Oh, and another one was Titanfall, was meant to be the Call of Duty killer. That definitely wasn't. That didn't even have a campaign. And it cost £50 and it didn't even have a campaign. What is that about? Like, are you serious? A £50 game, obviously made by EA, that doesn't have a campaign and only has multiplayer. That's horrific. I think that's actually embarrassing. As a company, EA have to be ashamed of themselves with that. That's just disgusting. Like, you pay £50, that's a lot of money, for a game that just has, what, 10 maps, if that, and all you do is just run around and shoot people. The game itself was incredibly limited. The game was pointless until you got in a Titan, and then that was it. Team Deathmatch was just utterly useless, and that's why everyone played the Titan game type, which I can't remember what it's called. And Watch Dogs was, well, embarrassing. I mean, the voice acting was horrific. The character creation was just awful. The character storyline was awful. The idea of the game was fantastic. The execution was very poor. And with Destiny, 99% of the game was hooking up Dinklebot to a machine and then protecting him from waves of enemies. And that was every single mission, apart from the raids, of course. But I never got to do a raid because there was no matchmaking, and I didn't know 5 different people who had Destiny, because at that point everyone already stopped playing it. So I never got to experience the raids, which is very bad, because I mean, I get that MMOs shouldn't have matchmaking on raids and stuff like that, because you can take a note out of World of Warcraft and say that they don't have matchmaking. Well, they didn't have matchmaking on their actual raids, I should say, because obviously LFR exists, but that we won't get into that at the moment. And they don't have matchmaking on their actual raids. But they also have community-based cities where you can talk to people. But in Destiny, you can't talk to people at all. There's literally... The community of Destiny is so bad because it's not... In my opinion, it's not an MMO. I called this before it came out. It's not an MMO. It's a game... It's a first-person shooter, co-op first-person shooter that you sometimes see someone else. And that you can't interact with them. And you can't do anything with them. They just steal your kills. You can't fight them, you can't talk to them, you can't do anything. All you can do is wave and then get your kills or stuff stolen. Unless you go back to the home-based thing, which is just pointless, in all honesty. You go and buy equipment, and then that's pointless after about a level. And then all you have to do then is just play online PvP, even though I don't like PvP. Until you get a bunch of legendary items. And the PvP for me was actually, it was quite good, but it was just like every other FPS game. Like, you can't sway away from the basis of FPS. But anyway, I'm getting out of context here. But there was also many other games. Many other games. And there was a reason why Dragon Age won Game of the Year. I don't even think Dragon Age was that good. And that proves how bad last year was. I mean, Alien Isolation, I think, won Game of the Year as well. And that game for me was just very boring. It was so limited in its storyline and its everything that if you put it in, say, 2010 or whenever, it definitely would not have won Game of the Year. It was only because it was in last year and how bad last year was. And I get that it's the start of a next generation, blah blah blah. That's not an excuse. That is not an excuse. Because it's not that the graphics were bad or there were bugs or glitches or stuff like that. It was the fact that the game was so poor, all of the games were so poorly thought out that the games companies, obviously, the games developers obviously just didn't care. They knew that you were going to buy their game, and that they knew that they were going to make money off of it. And that is what brings me into what I was going to talk about, but I've been rambling on for ages, just like I usually do. Games companies at the moment, they don't care at all about us, about the gamers, about the people who actually play their games, and about the people who, you know, are the community of their games, because why would they care? I say the games developers, not all of them. Obviously not all of them, a lot of them care, but most of them, they don't care. Like Ubisoft, EA, they don't care. Activision sort of do, but it's a bit hit and miss with them. They're always going to stick to one thing that works for them because it works for them. But they fix their games. I'm going to be honest, they fix their games. If a gun's broken in COD, they fix it straight away. I've been playing FIFA 15 all year, they haven't updated anything. The game's been broken all year, and I could make a half an hour video on every single thing which is wrong with the game. No, not even half an hour. I could talk for 24 hours about what's wrong with the game. It's so broken, but I won't get into it now because it makes me angry just thinking about it. It just makes me think of how embarrassing EA are as a company. It's shocking, actually, how they get away with it. But still, they're multi-billionaires. And there's a reason for that, because, well, one, I'm going to use FIFA as an example. There are no other sports games that are, well, no other football games that are out there that are any good. I know that Pro Evolution's out there and blah blah blah, but it's way too bad, in my opinion. It's so, I don't care if a game's unrealistic, but it's just too arcadey. I don't want it to be arcadey. PES hasn't changed since I played it in PES 2, and that was years and years and years ago. The only thing that's got better is the graphics, and that's only marginally. Arsenal are still called North London Reds. That hasn't changed. But anyway, I think the future of gaming is indie games, in my opinion. I think that the rise of Minecraft and the rise of indie games recently has really changed the way that I, for one, look at indie games. Usually I would look at an indie game and think, meh, the graphics aren't good enough, the gameplay's probably not good enough, it was made by one person, blah blah blah. But that's exactly how I feel when I look at AAA games. I look at them and think, oh, it's probably just another overhyped piece of crap that I'm going to spend £50 on and not get anything in return. And that's going to be the same until someone steps up to the plate and blows absolutely everyone out of the water, and that's what we need. We need that one game just to blow everyone apart. Just to make everyone look so bad that then everyone else has to step up to the plate. And I think there's only a couple of games companies that could actually do that, including Valve, Bethesda, Blizzard, obviously, up there. And I know that I don't really mention a lot of them, because I forget a lot of people. But I think that needs to happen. Someone needs to make a world beater of a game. And I think that the only way that that's ever going to happen is if one of those companies steps up. Because those companies actually put effort into their games. And I love that. I mean, Bethesda makes some of my favourite games ever, and some of the greatest games ever, including Elder Scrolls, obviously Oblivion, Skyrim, some of the biggest games of all time, the Fallout franchise. My favourite game of all time is Fallout 3. Absolutely incredible. And I am still on that hype train for Fallout 4. I don't care if it's not going to come, but I'm just going to keep believing that it will. But I think that either the future of games is indie games, or some AAA developer needs to step up to the plate and just make a game that is so unbelievably good that if any other developer wants a chance of selling their games, they need to make one better or as good. Because at the moment, all games are so bad that nobody really cares. Nobody has any competition. I mean, COD rules the FPS. It always has been that way and always will be that way. Some people might complain that Battlefield or Arma are better, but it doesn't matter if they're better. COD sells more. COD sells more because, in my opinion, it's more fun. I was playing Armored 3 yesterday, and for me, it's just too boring. I get that it's realistic, but it's too boring, and that's why it will never sell as much as COD, but I digress. COD will always rule the FPS. FIFA will always rule sports. Racing, it's open for debate, that one actually. But RPG, action, adventure, sci-fi, they are all still open. All of them are still open. There's no point in anyone making a new FPS game that's multiplayer based, because you're never ever going to rival COD. There's no point. Nobody does it.
Are you ready for this?
There's no point of making a new football game or a sports game, because there's already one for every single sport. There's PGA Tour, there's NFL, there's NHL, there's NBA, there's FIFA. They're all already as good as they're going to get. And nobody's going to make one better. But RPGs are always open for new contestants to make the best RPG ever. MMOs are always open. People think that WoW is going to be the top dog forever. It might be. In my opinion, WoW will never be knocked off of that top perch, but people can still try. WoW's numbers have dropped considerably recently, and that means that it's open for being taken over, in all honesty. But will it? I don't think so. But we'll see. That's what Destiny tried to do, and they failed miserably. But I have talked for quite a while here. It was meant to make this like a 4-minute video. Definitely did not make this a 4-minute video. So like I said, I think the future of gaming is either going to be a AAA game making an absolute worldie of a game, or indie games taking over. But that's just me. If you have an opinion about what's going on here, then leave the comment in the description below. And I just want to add that the reason that I think that AAA games have got carried away with making overhyped games as well as making bad games is because, as I said in another video, which I'll probably annotate on the screen, so you can click and go watch it, in the last episode of ShadowZeal Talks, I spoke about graphics, and I just want to add here that AAA games sometimes get carried away with graphics. Still, in this day and age, when everyone knows that graphics are not important, people still get carried away with them. The Order 1860, or whatever it's called, it's just graphics. I was thinking about this earlier. Why didn't they just make it into a film? That's basically what that game is. It's just all cutscenes. Make it into a damn film. But anyway, I have to end the episode here because I've been talking for a long time. I need a drink. I'm hot and sweaty. It's really hot today in England. I don't know why. I don't think I've ever said that before. Well, I actually did in a video the other day, but I often never say that. Hot in England compared to America would be like freezing cold in America. It's so hot today. I don't know why I'm wearing trousers. I should be wearing shorts. But anyway, I have been rambling on for absolutely ages, as I always do. And if you like this video, then please like it and tell me that you liked it, because it makes me feel so happy reading through comments that I get. Recently I haven't been really getting any, but I don't really care, because making videos for me is incredibly fun. I absolutely love it, and I could talk about stuff like this for absolutely ages. And I might change this into like a weekly thing. Excuse me. I might change this into like a weekly thing, like a sort of self-podcast sort of thing. I don't know what that's called. But I might make this like a weekly thing. It depends on if you guys like it, because I have a lot of stuff that I could talk about, gaming-wise, non-gaming-wise. Non-controversial, obviously, because I don't want to be too controversial. I don't like being controversial. And yeah, so I love talking about stuff, just randomly talking about stuff. And as I said, if the sound quality's off, then I'm sorry, but I've been basically kicked out of my room by paint. There's wet paint everywhere. I can't move my bed because there's just paint in the way. So I apologize for that if the sound quality's off, and I apologize for rambling on for so long, and I'm still rambling, but I don't care because I love talking. So thank you for watching this, and like I said, if you have an opinion on the future of gaming, then please tell me what your opinion is, because I'd love to know. And if you like this episode, then remember to like it and tell me that you liked it, because I will squeal with happiness every time I read a comment that tells me that you guys like my videos. They make me incredibly happy, I have to be honest. I read one the other day that literally made my week. I was having quite a bad week, and for the next like 2 weeks I was just continuously smiling, and I couldn't wait to make another video because I just love comments so much. They mean the world to me. They're just so important to me. But I need to stop rambling. I've been rambling way too much. So thank you for watching this, and I'll see you on the next one.